promise you, I find it disturbing. I'm disturbed by what I just heard, which was you really, really discussing a actual real relationship with another entity that you actually think of anthropomorphically. And you were talking about real dynamics between you and it, like for real. Like now, and it's not a stretch at all, because we already know and established, as you drink that Coors Light, you have a relationship with alcohol.
Oh, good.
Right? I have one. Like, I've accepted that it's not. What do you mean? I drink? Well, I have a few beer. You know what I'm talking about. Anybody that's in the territory like that with a substance, you know that you have a relationship with it, and it is real and occupies time, band. Like, you think about your buzz and how you're doing. Like, you know what I'm talking. Not everybody knows what I'm talking about. But if somebody asks you define your relationship with alcohol, and you say, do you have a relationship with alcohol, and you say define relationship,
right?
That you do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, what do you mean? I eat these or drink that sometimes. Like, that's what normal people that don't have a relationship say when you try to rationalize. Anyway, you have one with algorithms too. You just are going. You're starting to.
Yeah, I have deep relationships with anything that starts with A.
Yeah.
Alcohol, algorithms, but
ass.
Ass. What else? Agoraphobia, angina. God, I love that shit. I'm mad at Christianity because I didn't understand from a very young age. They say you're supposed to always be apart. What is it? The water that never ends. What's the water that quenches your thirst? That you never have to drink. You know, the light of the world is what I thought. But I thought that meant Miller Lite, of course, Light. I thought it was Lite, but they were talking about Jesus. But I didn't understand it, so that's why from a very early age, alcohol was my guide.
To your best friend, everything. But algorithms, I mean, you've already proven that it doesn't matter if they're conscious or not. You're going to have relationships with them that are everything 100%. Romantic. I mean, you're having one right there, and you sound like you're talking about your girlfriend, and what if she doesn't do the dishes? Then what if I do this? How's she going to react to that? That's how children test all your, like, you
Why
see
aren't you cold enough?
Well, you see your kids testing stuff. That's what you're doing is the way a kid tests you. They say, oh, what if I push this farther? What's mommy really going to do? Like, and you're doing that with the algorithm. You're establishing a relationship and boundaries and testing it to see what it'll do in reaction to you. You're developing a real, and it's a lot more alive than alcohol, is what I'm saying. So it's way more dangerous because it really does have a personality and knows you. It doesn't just kind of.
We're probably programmed like this. Think about how many people refer to their car as gives it a name, or it talks about it in a certain way, or wants to take care of it like you would appreciate your wife or something. You know, you do that with vehicles and all kinds of stuff.
And you're never going to understand the math anyway. So I'm saying embrace it and think of it like it sounds like a girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. She's going to get me back. Like, she's playing a game. Like, you think of it as a game, and you fundamentally as a human, that's how you learn. Is you go, ooh. How can I game? I mean, and you do that with people and things. That's what you're doing with, and that's what you're already doing with the TikTok algorithm. You have a relationship with the TikTok algorithm now. Toby does. I don't.
You will.
But you do.
You will.
I'm sure I will. I mean, I imagine I'm developing and forming relationships with some algorithms now. But at some point, you'll have profound relationships with them.
I mean, and it'll be the best.
Yeah.
I mean, if TikTok algorithms, if TikTok, a phone app algorithm, is this good already, what chance do I have against 10 years from now? Come on. What the hell?
What job do you could be having that you know about?
On our podcast this week, I couldn't. I was so proud of myself that I didn't stop the podcast and call Dan such a fool. Dan says that human legs are better.
Oh, I
than
know.
the
I'm
legs
glad you said something. I did. Yeah.
And then we won't choose bionic legs. I mean,
like,
what
he
is
like
Dan the most
really crazy?
What in the hell is he talking about? It's me, Toby. Dan, you have higher intelligence than me. How could you say something so foolish that you wouldn't? I mean, you wouldn't pick bionic legs. The human leg is better. I was like, what in the world? Am I in the Twilight Zone here?
Well, no, Dan,
you would pick everything.
I think that's really where his mental weakness really is, in that very much area where he and I think he understands this, but it will help explain Dan a lot if you understand this about him. He is a committed centrist.
Yeah.
A lot of times people think they're centrist as in, well, I'm a little of this and that, and I land in the middle. That's not what he's talking about. He is dedicated to finding the center of a thing and holding it, and therefore that dictates the things. He doesn't believe what he believes. He believes what the center is, and that can be super off. And so he's big. He winds up being way bigger on institutions and status quo as a result. So when he doesn't allow, it's a way of dealing, in my opinion, with insecurity or something like anxiety. I think it's where you need to know how things are. The institutions, they're good. They'll hold up. He's a little bit more that way. The future's not going to be radically different. That's very, and then people like me are saying many radical things, many of which will be wrong. And it's a conservative way of looking at everything in the middle and holding it together. And I'm going to be wrong about many things, but I'll be right about certain things with a higher, lower thing. But he doesn't want to. There's no room for him to really entertain massive shifts because it's hard for him to know what the center is or what the institutional gated, those types of ways is what that's. You know what I'm saying? That's his crowd. Right. That's how he thinks about things. So he doesn't really allow for disruptive future things to impact his thinking very much.
Do you think that you and I change so much that it actually makes us untrustworthy to people or something? Like I've wondered that, like when I think about this podcast, go back before this podcast, we'd started a Christian band in Greer, South Carolina and moved to Seattle. But I mean, think about those white dudes from middle-class upbringings and all the things that we've changed. I mean, like, because we didn't even realize how willing we were to. We just needed real data, real information, and then we change our minds based on that. I mean, and people think, I think that a lot of times people think we're bros and unchanging and Christian bro, conservative, pretty, at least libertarian, but maybe even Republican, whatever. And I'm just like, I wonder though, because we change our mind so much on stuff and don't stick, like I don't want to stick to the center or the left or the right. I just want to go where it feels right. And I want to be able to say what I say and it be potentially wrong. Right. And that's okay. Like the biggest critique I have of our culture right now is nobody wants you to be fucking wrong. You have to get shit right immediately. Like even with the Michael Gungor stuff, I'm not pro Michael Gungor or not Science Mike. Science Mike's great. I even said that in the podcast. I think his voice is important. I think the liturgists seemingly are important to a lot of people. But I'm just saying, like, what I don't understand what we are trying to not. You immediately want Michael Gungor to realize all what he's doing wrong. What if it was a month or two from now and he goes, "Oh, that was crazy. I probably should apologize quicker." Wouldn't that be right? I mean, who apologizes immediately? Unless it's very clear and all the points are right there.
Well, see, otherwise, that's the problem is that people I hear the whole message as don't try. Don't be. Okay, here's the thing I'm fighting against constantly. And this is not trying to be high-minded. It's very simple. I like to be present, like whatever's right now. That's good enough. And I also like to try. Those are the two things that are values to me. I want to be with it, what I am here, with the information that's here, I want to look at right now, and then I want to try. Right. And that's always what I'm doing. I mean, that's just always what I'm doing. I'm trying to examine the moment and then try whatever seems like worth trying for. And that doesn't matter if I was completely opposite of what I was yesterday. What does it matter? That was what yesterday was for, is to learn for today, to try for tomorrow. It's not even thought out, but that's just like obvious to me. That's super simple. So if you can't, the way the world works, like we used to say Gungor or something like that, is people go, okay, they talked about Gungor yesterday, so they're totally for Gungor. They're with him. They've decided that's their alliance. Here's who they're for. Here's they're against. And then you build up all this stuff, and you're going to get smashed if you go this way. All that sounds to me is like decide in advance, don't be present, and don't try because you'll get smashed.
Yeah.
And so it's a chilling effect on everybody. And so, maybe it's a little funny to hear somebody like me say, I think Gungor's great 2 days ago, and probably tomorrow think, real bad.
Yeah.
He's real bad. Easy.
But, I think it's even worse than that.
Based on anything. It's just,
I think it's even worse than that. And I think sometimes I really do think it's because the way I talk.
Well, probably.
But I mean,
is that too?
Hold on, but the way I sound and talk and look puts people maybe in some kind of defense formation for themselves or whatever. But I think that's rotten. But okay. But if you go back and listen to that podcast, we are 100% focused on the thing that happened.
The thing,
not the broad picture. Now. Like I am fully open to Mike Gungor and the Liturgists being horrific and horrible and terrible, and all I want is the real data. But don't try to convince me that this thing is bad. That you're saying you're saying all kinds of crazy.
Before you examine it yourself,
right?
That's
before you listen to it,
before you examine this yourself, you need to know that whatever like you need to already. There's a conclusion already, and all I'm here to do is do the self-discovery part of you might be right. Step one will be for me to investigate it and discuss it with people. Now, you're just not used to hearing that because other people are scared to do it. So then it makes me sound even crazier for changing or trying. Now, because you're not supposed to try. You're supposed to already know and be the best.
Right.
Or something. I don't understand that. So I need to go to all the areas that I don't know and try there.
And how many pretenders are there then?
So I'm wrong all the
nobody
time.
knows immediately. So you got a bunch of pretenders going, "Yep, I'm going to agree with you," but they don't. Do they agree with you?
I don't.
That's
agree
what I'm
with
saying.
me.
You know where I stand, and you might think I'm a fool. Okay, but at least you got the real Toby. You might be right. No, you are right. I am a fool, but you got the real me. There, you might not like it all, and rightly so, but you got the real us. Like the Bad Christian Podcast is what we've been trying to do. We've been through a lot of shit. We're trying to push past being a guru, being right all the time. We're just trying to present information, and most people, I mean, there is no doubt on earth. Yesterday on our text thread or whatever, everybody was making fun because Science Mike wrote you and Dan, didn't mention me at all, right? Yeah, and somebody, I think Dan was like, yeah, he definitely doesn't like you. You're not worth his time or anything like that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I could be really offended or hurt or go on Twitter and try and write him and all that stuff, but that is okay.
I don't know that he thought anything bad about you, but
no, you're right. I'm not trying to say he thought bad about me. I'm saying it didn't matter, and that means I'm fine. Like I probably said the most inflammatory stuff about him on the podcast, right?
I don't think there was anything inflammatory, really. I don't know. I don't even think it's that. He
of course there is. Of course we said stuff. I mean, I know I said stuff that would.
I don't even know what we say or
that he wouldn't like.
I don't know. I mean, I know that makes me sound stupid now, but I don't know what we said, and I don't care.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean that don't mean that and saying it doesn't matter, but there's no. It is wrong. It's wrong for me to ruminate about what I might have said wrong. Or did. I don't care about what I said. I said what made sense for me to say that at that moment. That's the thing I'm trying to do. And I'll try again right now. I'm trying right now. But I'm not that worried about what I said wrong before. And if you're taking me as a source of that, then that's really crazy.
Right.
I don't even care about what I said. It's just, was it right? If so, it might stick around. If not, it'll go away or something. I mean, that's why I like the attention and the feedback. I'm trying to understand things. So I spit it out. And clarifying what you said in this form to me is just not worth doing. It's just not, I heard Dan misspeak about Science Mike. I heard it when it happened. I knew it was wrong. I didn't know if it was worth correcting or not. And I chose in the moment distinctly, I won't stop the flow of the podcast to say, well, was it this? And then it was like, well, how long has he been off the pod? I mean, that's not worth doing, in my opinion.
Well, it just didn't matter. It doesn't
what are you
matter.
supposed to fact check it falls apart instantly if you can't misspeak. I mean, give me a break.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. There were people that said, couldn't they have fact checked before they did the podcast? But
no, I've never fact checked one thing I've ever said.
Yeah, and what
on
are you
any podcast
do you even understand
made.
do you understand what anything is then? Like, what are you talking about? You must have no clue what it's like to try and create something and make something and do something. Like
they just don't understand the genre or something. It doesn't matter. Or no, they do. They mischaracterize it, but it doesn't matter. I don't care. I mean,
but also I feel like it's a rotten thing that whole thing just steals from the point of, wait a minute, what's happening here?
Yeah, it's
Liturgist podcast is
try.
important. And two of the previous, the obvious point is Liturgist podcast is important. And two of the previous, one of the current hosts and a previous host are going at each other on Twitter. And it does look like one of them's throwing the other one under the bus. And then I don't think the other one's apologizing. And what does all that mean? That's what we're talking about.
A lot of things.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. It means many, many things that nobody knows. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter.
Oh, but what I was talking about that, I wasn't trying to say Science Mike was in Paris. Every single person on our text thread was like, yeah, Toby, but you are bad. And everybody started laughing and cutting up, like making fun. And I was like, this is actually really great. I know what my friends are doing right now. They are busting my balls. They're saying I am a bad person is what they're saying. But what they're actually saying is, we can say this to you. And man, if I can let them do that, my friendship is more trustworthy, right? Like if I go, no, y'all don't understand. I'm not bad. I was just trying to say this about Science. What the hell am I doing? What is this? Hold on, Toby. Let your friends just do this a little bit. And now they feel kind of safe. And guess what? You some of it, there's some real truth to it. And that can be helpful too. That's what I'm saying. Like nobody on the podcast, no listener of the podcast, I'm certain ever thinks, man, Toby has all his shit together and I really need to listen to him. If somebody says that to me, they got to go.
Yeah.
That ain't right. There's something wrong there. It's not helpful. And some people have tried in the past to say that to you and I, and it ain't good. That ain't good. No, I need to be lifted up and torn down constantly. And that's what I think most people need to be.
Well, yeah, it's very funny. I mean, but all I can feel is the giant message of it doesn't. It's just so motivating to me in a non-specific way that everybody looks at you and implies you better not, you shouldn't, it's better not to, don't try. That's the wet blanket I feel from everything all the time, and you're not going to get me with the wet blanket stuff. You can devalue anything I say. I'll be the lowest idiot on earth. I do not care, but I will be free. I'm going to try. There's no way you're going to stop me from trying.
I want to be free
right tomorrow.
Yes. You're not going to lock me into being guru. You're not going to lock me into being the dumbest person on earth. All those, I'm going to be whatever Toby is authentically. Mitch Vandenberg on here said, we don't grow if we don't misspeak. And I totally agree with that. And I think that infiltrates everything. For example, today I was so proud of my daughter. She's 7 years old and still has to be training wheels. She's still on training wheels at 7 years old. Ike was like, no training wheels at 4 or maybe even younger. I don't know. He's just a wild man, right? And then our daughter, Ruby, she's a little tentative, but she pretty quickly. But our youngest is just really scared. She's not athletic at all. She's kind of floppy and just she called me because it's, she can't get going. But today she came up to me and said, can we take off my training wheels and I'll try to do it in the yard on the grass. That way if I fall, it won't hurt as bad and I was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. So I took it off. And I just kept telling her, and I was even the mean dad, like, just go faster. All you got to do is keep going. If you go a little faster, you can cruise. Look at your brother and sister. She's trying. But I kept trying to be encouraging. And then I just stopped interfering, and I just let her do it. And then I come around the corner, and I see her riding her bike on the grass, totally good. Mm-hmm. Like, just totally good, right? Because she was just on her own, and she had some pressure. And it was scary. And she goes, just maybe I can do it. And then she just did it. And I was like, that is just so awesome. I mean, she can fall and get hurt. And she hates that. And everything that I did wasn't even that right. But I just was here in a bad assist. And now she's going to ride her bike and know how to ride on 2 wheels soon. And then we'll get to go ride around as a family, and it's going to be fun, and she's going to be able to keep up, and it's going to be good, and she's going to feel proud of herself for this. And I didn't even say anything. I just did a big thumbs up. I was like, yeah. And then she just, the biggest smile you could ever see on a kid's face. And she just rode past me and wouldn't even look at me after that, but just a huge smile. I was like, this is just so great. Like, it is hard to do things and be alive and to move forward and to say things and to put yourself out there. But that is it. If you don't put yourself out there, what are you living? You're not living.
Right.
You're not
You're
doing
going
anything.
a different direction.
It isn't learning if you don't put yourself out there. That's what we were talking about. Yeah, I think you and I were talking about it on the phone. That's why school is really shitty, because in most ways it teaches you just how to pass a test with no skin in the game. It's not scary. It's not anything. It's just make sure you get at least a C or above, and that teacher probably ain't going to think about you anymore. They just want you to pass their class. You know what I mean? Like they're going to teach you algebra so you can know the answer, not actually know algebra.
Yeah. Well, what I like about the way that she learned to ride the bike is the important thing that she learned isn't to ride the bike, is that she learned how. She knows that she did it. So if you'd have told her perfectly, what's the fucking point? She's good at riding bikes now for what? I mean, that's right. That has nothing to do with growing as a person. It's just you add a skill, like you downloaded an app. I mean, she learned how to ride a bike, and she learned how to know that she could do hard things herself without help, even if it's harder or worse or slower or wrong. Learns it wrong, like learning it wrong. Get out of here. And school, opposite. School is opposite. You do super well. You're a super bright kid, and you do well. And then why did you do well? I had great teachers. Because the teachers are great. That's why you're good. Because of them? No, not true.
Right.
That isn't true. First of all the kids had the same teacher.
Right.
So if you did good, not the teacher. I mean, it just, and then you learn it from, well, I got taught the thing. I just, I don't even want to open the can, but in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of teaching. I'm a big fan of learning, and it almost, sometimes it can involve teaching, I guess, but it's so teacher, like the parenting thing and the teaching thing is so centric on you give them the way to do it. Why do the interference thing well? And that's how where learning comes from. It's just, it couldn't be more opposite of that. It's like, if possible for there to be no teaching, all learning is better. Right? There's no learning that's better if you could learn it without a teacher.
Right.
If it were possible for your daughter to figure out how to ride a bike, that is always better than do the steps.
Yeah.
But if you just need to learn how to do a thing quickly and it's not about the deeper growth, then sure, just give me the steps. And if it's something you don't care about, get taught it.
I mean, maybe we really are, because of the pandemic and everything. I don't know. We might go back, because 9/11, in most ways, we just went back to normal. But this is definitely different. It's lasted longer, affected more people. Way more people have died and all that stuff. But I'm wondering if this is maybe a call to, hold on, you actually do have it inside you, so you just got to do it. Like, you don't think, man, you know what?
Or you don't have it.
you don't think, man, the teachers in Audubon, Iowa are just amazing, and they're going to really help somebody. Wait, that's where Reva grew up. The teachers in Greer, South Carolina in 1982, man, they are top of the, wait a minute. No, you're out here, and it's you.
As important as the furniture in the room or something.
Right.
It's not.
But it's on you. So whatever you're going to do it. Dave Powell, I always talk about him in Carmel, Indiana, and everybody thought he was going to be nothing. And what was the language he needed to speak? Oh, drums. Let me speak music. And then once somebody, he could get to music, and the drum, was it the greatest drum set ever that taught him how to play drums? That the thing? You know what I mean? Like, man, you know what? If you have a better drum set, which is what the world tries to tell you, if you have the better gear, the better thing, the better experience, all that stuff, it'll be better for you. That isn't true. A shitty drum set. Why do you think you see kids, in low-income neighborhoods with just terrible basketball goals and rims kicking ass at basketball? Because the desire, and that's all they had. And so they're going to use what they have. They're going to use the resources, the time, the energy, the brains that they have, and become amazing at something. That's why, I've been just totally blown away by this Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, just because I wrote this in my True Man email this morning. He would be considered very much so in the category of toxic masculinity, right? And
abusive, everything.
And he looks at the camera and says, I never asked anybody to do anything I wouldn't do. And if they didn't want to play that way, then why were they there and what were they doing? And he was so caught off guard by it. Now, I'm not defending Michael Jordan. I think he's probably a real piece of shit jerk in lots of ways. But I believe he was fully dedicated to winning basketball and doing the things that he needed to do. And to callously call that toxic or horrible. And some people glean the wins and the championships and the benefits from it, and later maybe say bad stuff like, no. I mean, it was hilarious. I don't know if you watched the last episode. I don't know if you guys have been watching it. But even during wind sprints, he had to beat people. They were just, the wind sprints across the court and back, and he's just laughing at everybody because they're not running as fast, and he won't let them run faster than him. And I was just like, now, he's a phenomenal athlete, but I was like, man, wait a minute. We have to learn a way to be tough and maybe sometimes mean and not give a shit what other people say about you. And also, how do you learn from that and let people in? Because that's what he had to do to win championships. Luckily, he had Phil Jackson, the coach, and Phil Jackson goes, hey, listen, you got to give the ball. Nobody's guarding John Paxson. If you pass it and don't try to take it yourself, we can win. And they did. And he was like, oh, you unlocked something for me. My team matters. And then Jordan wins 6 championships. Yeah. I mean, you just need people to unlock things for you, not teach you every single thing. You know what I mean? You just need them to unlock something, and then you take it and run with it.
Yeah. In my philosophy, most of everything is about what I would call pre-learning. Again, I don't go by teaching in the paradigm, but pre-learning is you're interested and you care and you wind up with all these questions, and that physically organizes your brain. It's like you clear out the shelves for spring cleaning in your garage, but there's nothing on the shelves yet. You got to build the shelves. You've got to make the space. You've got to know. You got to wish you had that tool in your empty toolbox, and then when you're ready. And this is way different than when somebody's trying to schedule your learning. That's ridiculous. I just think that's ridiculous.
Scheduled learning.
It just doesn't make sense. It's like scheduled fun to me. It doesn't seem correct that you could schedule such a thing. But you have the shelves that are empty. And you're just hungry. You have some of them filled in, and you can't wait to get that miter saw because then you know what you can cut with it, but you can't afford one. You can't find one. There's not one in the store. And then all of a sudden, somebody goes, "Oh, miter saw. That's this. Here you go." And you put it on your shelf, and you go, "Oh, you have a place for it. It was labeled. You needed it, and you're using it tomorrow morning, and you're off and running. And you're not going to forget it or forget it's there. I mean, you needed it, and you finally got it." And so when the teaching's always interfering with that process before you're ready, trying to tell you, here's all your tools, and you don't know what they are, where they're labeled or where they go, and just here's all the books you'll need later, and it'll always be numb to you if that's the way you encounter learning.
I know, and what it does is make you a group and not a person. It steals that from you. Like it's been really pretty cool. Like Jess has been helping our kids do their work with their Zoom meetings, and she spends more time with our kids than ever before on their education. And I was like, oh man, it's really helping because they are learning a certain way, and we're still doing stuff that I think is not that helpful. And the way that it's being taught is to just check off a box more than actually learning. But it's still, because of the way we're learning right now, our family kids, and Jess is teaching our kids rather. And I was like, man, this is really great because she knows our kids and she knows what their motives are, and she's understanding this, and we can stop and go ride a bike for a little while and then come back and all this. I mean, like the idea is I thought about it, the scheduled is be one of those things. Like it's the same thing as scheduled time to write a song. You know how many times I've scheduled to write a song and it really worked out? No, I'm sitting there. Like, I'll tell you an example this week. So we do these custom songs for people. And there was a guy in his email. I don't want to betray his trust, but I kind of want to just read it to y'all because the email of the song we're supposed to write for him, I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do here. Like it asks so much of us that I can't even. Okay, I'm just going to read a little bit of it, right? All right, let me just read a little bit. He says, hello, I messaged y'all a while back, blah, blah, blah. And this is a good guy, but he just thinks I'm paying and I want to get everything possible out of you. But that is just not going to work that way. Like, we are writing you a song, but we got to there's a bunch of other songs we have to write. There's all kinds of stuff. But he says, he just says something about his backstory. And then he says he wants the song to be 50-50 about him and 50-50 about his fiance, which is, it's funny. Like, okay, what does that mean? Like when you write a song, it's usually about one thing. And are you saying you want half the song to be, let me talk about you, half a song to talk about your fiance? What do you mean by that? It means
something kind of specific is the red
flag. Right.
The fact that he'd been that specific is something to, like, how would you interpret what he means by that? And how likely is he to be unhappy with your interpretation of such a direction?
And then he says, it's I really do like this. Is really he doesn't know much about music. He doesn't have much musical knowledge. He's worked with artists, he says, but he says he wants the song to be from the perspective of an immortal being who is living in a mortal body in the modern current world, who has witnessed all his history of creation but doesn't have a conscious recollection of it. This character is alone and feels like it has to learn a world of things it doesn't understand. None of this has to be directly stated in the words of the song, but hopefully thinking in that perspective can help inspire you, whatever. But I mean, he's telling me all this very specific stuff, right? And I understand it. I get it. He's paying for a song. He wants it to be perfect. I'm not crashing on him here, but I mean, this is unbelievable. And then he says he wants it to be as if this life has happened all before. And he calls it memories of the future is how he would describe it. And he goes on to talk a little bit more. But then he says, so I kind of want this song to have two main parts. Everything stated thus far being the first half, and then kind of sad and building a scene. And then in the second half, he wants to become more happy. So the first, dark, sad. I mean, unbelievably
about his wife. I don't want to beat him.
Yeah. And this catches me off guard because most people write, hey, my husband, we got married 10 years ago, 2 kids. We love your band. And that's all they write.
We have some dogs,
I'm like, okay. And I appreciate that he gave me this much detail, but when I'm starting to read this, I go, I'm never going to satisfy him. He's going to be let down no matter what I do. He's being this specific. He writes, he wants us to say something about remembering the first sunrise the character saw and how it felt like the key to something new that hasn't been experienced before. 100%. I need the word key and to be in the lyrics. Falling in love with the sun itself as its promise of a new day to start again, new light and the proof that there is hope. There's kind of so that's all I got for lyrics so far. But let's see. So I want the word sunshine and key specifically sung in the song, and I would also like the line that this is the best part. I would also like a line that consists of exactly 33 words that in its entirety expresses. It's taken me 33 words just to say I love you. All right, and then he goes on to talk about musically. He wants some harmonics and stuff like that. Now, I talked to you. I talked to you, and I said, I'm not doing this. I said, we're going to let this guy down no matter what. Let's just refund his money. It's okay. He just wants something more specific than I can do, right?
Yeah.
You agreed. You were like, I think that's right. You're going to let him down, blah, blah, blah. And then I
couldn't think of a wiser thing to do than just simply not listen.
I said, it is not worth it. It's just not worth it. Because I felt like I was going to write a song, and then he would be disappointed no matter what. Yeah. If he's that specific, you can't win, right?
Also, my big takeaway from him is, dude, you can do it then. You already know more about the song than we've ever known about a song we wrote.
Right.
All you got to do is
know more.
Put a couple notes. You just a few more categories, and you're done with the song. You just need a few notes now.
Right, 100%. So
I'll give you some A, C sharp, E,
G sharp. Here you go. Yeah. Play those.
Use those. You're good.
Which actually I did use those chords because after we talked, and this is going back to the scheduled learning thing, I just sat down. After we talked, I just sat down. I just had my guitar right here, and I was working on some stuff for Are You Listening this week. And I was like, that sure is funny. He asked for 33 words. I wonder if I could do 33 words in some song. That's just hilarious that it'd be 33. And I'm just sitting here thinking about the audacity of 33 words, right? Uh-huh. And then about 10 minutes later, I did it. And it was awesome. And I'm sitting here with my finger pointing. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. I wrote this chorus and I went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 33. I just did it. This is hilarious. I did it. And we sent the rough idea of the lyrics to him. He loves it.
Oh, you did it for real. That's
and he loves it. And so the thing that was cool was there was this thing that I was like, this is hilarious. Never could do it. Won't be able to pull it off. All this stuff. And then instead of sitting there going, I'm going to work on this. Instead, I said, wait a minute. Come on. What is this? Then something about it stuck with me, and I went, oh, I'm actually interested. So the first thing I did was, I'm actually interested, maybe, that somebody would do this. So my interest level is up. So that is the most important thing, right? So then from there, I was like, well,
it's over.
Right. And there was no fear of failure. Who gives a shit? If I wrote a line with 27 words instead of 33, I just quit. I'm not going to do it. But because I set it up, then the learning was very good for me to go, wait a minute. You know what? Actually, you can put 33 words in a chorus and it works like this. And that's what I learned, right?
That's the addictive thing about music that people don't have about other jobs or getting test grades is with music, you do get the reward immediately if you get it.
That's true.
Because you hear it and you go, fuck, that I like that.
Right.
And
that's pretty fucking cool.
You get that's a constant reward. And it makes me a worse musician in some ways because I never really learn anything completely. I just play until I impress myself and I get the dopamine.
Right.
I go, that's unbelievable.
It's like a drug. When I wrote that and sang it, I was like, oh, shit.
I mean, a few seconds before I had nothing and I'm an idiot and I'm looking at 12 notes. There's only 12 of them and I don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden I hear something I like and only explanation for it is, well, first of all, it's pleasant and I made it.
Right.
And if you can do that, why would you ever stop?
I know.
I mean, I'm
telling you, I wish more people would play music. I was just reading an article about how many families used to make their kids play music and do stuff. Now, once again, that's going back to scheduled learning and stuff like that. But I wish that people would learn more music. I think it would actually help us a lot. Anyway,
it's that same. It's a self-directed learning and achievement cycle. It starts with interest and it closes the loop with a reward, and that can be 10 seconds apart. And then boom, you're that person from then on that accomplished that, has that, knows that note, knows that, built your vocabulary, huge positive self-learning reinforcement, and you do it unlimited amount of times. And you can do it with anything that's not music also. But that's basically the method, It has to be interest, and there has to be a reward.
Yep, at least. Interest. All right, I got to get out of here. I got to go take the kids to our inflatable pool that I overfilled, and I'm worried it's going to pop. So that could be fun or horrific. I don't know.
Have a good Friday.
All right. See y'all, fuckers.